Welcome back to the Two More Cast podcast. Today I'm interviewing Citha Mao, who's been at this for a long time in the kayak world since 2019. He's fished 53 tournaments, accumulated over 5,000 total inches of bass. The leaderboard has 8 wins and 40 top tens. It's quite an accomplishment for sure. The audio in this one's a little bad. I got a new laptop and I forgot to turn my microphone on, so the speakers that picked up my voice was through the laptop, which is quite a bit of a distance away from me, so it's a little muffled. I tried to fix it, but rookie mistake. There'll be more for sure. There's the interview. Today we're going to talk with the winner of the 2023 Native Watercraft No Limit Power Hour event. He actually won it by over 100 inches. It's a Mao.
Yeah,
How you
thanks for
doing?
having me on. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good too. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
For sure. So, how'd you get started kayak fishing and bass fishing in general?
Uh, well, I mainly was a salmon steelhead guy, being here up in the Northwest. Like every year, it just seems like the salmon steelhead were less and less. Um, I stayed away from bass fishing for a reason, just because I knew how addicting, all the tackle and whatnot we were gonna buy. So it wasn't until about 2016 when I started bass fishing. Just a small pond, and I hooked. I think my first bass that I hooked was like a 4 pounder, and I knew then I was like, okay, I'm getting into this, and ever since then it was just kind of started with the float tube for a little bit to get away from the banks. And then yeah, it wasn't until like late that year I started seeing a lot of kayak YouTube videos. It's like Greg and NY Yacker or whatnot. So I was like, okay, maybe I should get a kayak, and I looked around just for local clubs and whatnot. And there was a small club um, back then, WKBF. I don't think they were WKBF. I can't remember.
It was
But
WAKBF, I think.
yeah, yeah. So pretty small group. I started asking around. I found their group, and I joined up and asked a few questions. I got my kayak, I think 2017 was when I got my first kayak. Actually, no, it was 2018. I researched for a bit. I mean, back then, even then, it was still, there was still so many options just for somebody new getting into the sport. So I started with a paddle kayak, and yeah, 2018 was when I bought my first kayak. It was a feel free lure 11.5. And yeah, that's what I started tournament fishing later that year, 2000. Well, 2019 was when I started. I think I did a little bit of online challenges on 2018. I don't remember correctly, but yeah, ever since then I've been hooked, and started with the paddle. Then I was like, okay, well, this isn't working. If you want to be competitive, you gotta you gotta go after these guys, and started seeing pedal kayaks were starting to get a lot more popular. So that kayak had an option to add a pedal drive to it. So I added a pedal drive to it. I mean, it worked, but um, it was like an aftermarket pedal, so it was just kind of like not really built for the kayak. So the next year, I upgraded and finally got into my first Hobie. It was a Hobie Outback, and yeah, I just fell in love with the thing, and it just made things a lot easier, just being able to fish hands free and whatnot, and just kind of got hooked from there on.
Have you upgraded since then, since the Outback?
Yeah, I think 2022 was when I upgraded to a PA 14. Um, just wanted a little bit more room, especially for tournament fishing. It's all the tackle that you bring. And yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the weight because going from what the Outback was like 95, 100 pounds ish. Moving up to a PA 14, that's like 130, 140 pounds.
It's
Man,
huge.
that thing was a battleship to move. But once I get it on the water, though, I forget about how heavy it weighs. But it was definitely a game changer. And the first PA I got was a 360. That was right when they came out with the 360 drive, and I saw a few guys on the I think Jim. Davis was the one I was just bugging every day. I was like, "Dude, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it a?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a game changer." So uh, I jumped right into that, and I never looked back.
Awesome. Has it worked out so far? Like the drive and all that? It's pretty easy to get used to?
Yeah, so far so good. I haven't had any real problems with the drive. Last year, actually, or at the beginning of this year, I discovered a crack in the hull where the drive actually goes in. I guess there's a insert that is kind of a known issue. I guess when taking out the drive and putting it back on all the time, I guess it was a crack that started to open up. And my first time out this year, or earlier this year, I took it out and I came back and I was like, man, this thing feels a lot heavier than it should. And I got home and opened up the hull and there was a bunch of water in it. So I was like, oh, shoot, way to start
Yeah.
out my year. But luckily, Outdoor Emporium, they were Kevin that works there. He got my warranty in right away, and I think couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks ish, is I got a brand new haul. So I got a 20. So now I'm running a 2024 PA360. Um, yeah, and same drive, so everything still works the same. Um, there's a few upgrades to it, but nothing really different. I still love the thing. Yeah.
Did they do anything to that spot that they know about, or
Well, they added a mechanism to kind of lock your drive in, so I guess that kind of eliminates it. Um, we'll see. So, but I mean,
like
it's like anything. Yeah, the more I mean, I used it a lot those 2 years that I had it, so I'm not surprised that something was going to crack or whatnot. I mean, for the price tag, you would think that they would last a little bit longer, but yeah, I got a lot of use out of it though.
and they warrantied it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had like a year left on the haul, so it was perfect timing, I guess.
Right. That is good stuff. They are good with their customer service too, from Hobie, I've noticed
Yeah, yeah,
in the past. You won 2023's Native Watercraft No Limit Power Hour, and you placed second in 2022's over at Potholes. Did you
yeah.
have two different strategies for those events, or they kind of just catch as many fish as possible, or are you
Uh,
chasing big ones?
I was catching as many fish as possible. I don't get well, at least this year, I don't get a lot of time to go fishing. So when I'm out there, I'm just out there to catch as much fish as I can. That's why I love the no limit challenge because I'll fish all day until the time runs out.
That's funny. What'd you think about the Potholes event, like the very first No Limit event you attended?
Oh, it was great. It was it was hot. That we didn't get a lot of people that came up because I think it was like 4 days straight when it was like 105 degrees or something like that. And so I fish potholes a lot. So when they announced that, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be fun. But the conditions were definitely tough because it was so hot out there. I don't think I got any sleep that night because my truck was still hot the whole night. I mean, I was truck camping at the time, and yeah, it was just I got to pre-fish the day before, but man, it was like morning was great, but then as soon as that sun got up, it was just like okay, it's time to get off the water or drink as much water as you can. The water was a lot warmer than I was used to, and the water levels were really low. I like to fish back in the sand dunes a lot. So that was kind of my area, but because the water was so low, it was basically a creek. Um, so um, yeah, a lot of the spots that I would normally go to, they weren't there. I was just fishing mainly the main channel of the creeks, and that was it. And they took away one of the launches back in the sand dunes because the water level was so low, so you couldn't really launch there. So I had to find another spot to launch. Luckily, we found another spot, me and Dan Walker, and I was contemplating the night before whether I should launch from the state park and pedal up that way, but man, that's a long ways.
The journey for sure.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of people back out that way? That
No,
No
it
Limit
was
event?
just it was actually the top well, other than Kyle that won the whole thing out on the main lake, the other me, Dan, and Kevin Frank were in that area. I think Kevin arrived a little bit later, but it was just me and Dan there in the morning. Um, no, yeah, we came down all the way towards the mouth. I don't think we didn't make it all the way down that way, but yeah, as soon as we got to like towards the mouth, that was when like the water was really warm and it was hard to find any active fish because it was the water was just so warm. So staying in the main channel was like the big key for us because that water was a little bit cooler because of the water was running, the water that comes in from Moses Lake.
Oh yeah.
So staying in that creek was like a was a was the key for us.
How deep was it out there? Like I know it's pretty shallow in the dunes. Was it pretty deep in that creek channel?
There were spots that were up to about 15 feet towards like Crab Creek launch, but anything higher than that was pretty shallow. I mean, I think at most it was like 8 feet.
That's crazy. Was it mostly a largemouth out that way?
Yeah, yeah. So usually back in the dunes, I've caught a few smallmouth out that way, but I actually saw some when we were leaving. I saw some nice smallies up there, but it was already lines out, and I was like, okay, well, I can't get to those. But I've caught some smallies back there, but it's mostly largemouth.
Is that what you prefer to target?
Yeah, how well back in potholes. Yeah, in potholes is I've never really actually targeted the smallmouth out there just because it's a little easier. It's a little more secluded. I'm always launching out in the sand dunes, and most of the fish there are largemouth. So one of these days, I'm going to make it down towards the main lake and fish the over more towards the dam where the smallmouth is, because I mean that's where Kyle was smashing them for for that tournament. So,
Yeah, he was on a roll too. It was crazy. I was watching like
yeah,
dragging himself on his boat. It was so hot out.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think most people that we talk with, they were like by noontime, they were already just jumping out of their kayaks into the water because it was brutal. I mean, even the weigh in afterwards, it was just like, oh man, when is this? There's like no shade. There's wind, but it's warm air just blowing in your face, and it was hard to stay comfortable. I think most people right after that was like, okay, get into the car, turn on the AC, and just drive home. I drove home after the tournament. I was just so tired. I was like, I need to get into on the cooler area.
For sure, it was hot. Man.
Yeah.
Drinking gallons of water. What was your tactic out there? Like,
Um. So I threw mainly two baits. In the morning, I threw a buzz bait. I like to throw that buzz bait in the morning. I know that's where I got my bigger bites. And then later when the sun came up, I just threw a white and chartreuse chatterbait with a Kitech trailer. And I just slow rolled that. And anytime I was near some grass, I would just find a grass line and roll it through there, and I was getting bites consistently.
either in the morning to get that kind of bite kind of disappear towards the afternoon when the sun came up.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did. It was a lot tougher in the afternoon. I think most of our bites between me and Dan, we caught them pretty good in the morning. As soon as the afternoon sun came out, it was a lot tougher to catch them.
It's crazy. And then for 2023, that was at like Umatilla part of the Columbia River,
Yeah, yeah,
which is just like a little bit south of where it's going to be at this weekend.
yep, yep, yeah. I fished that area a lot during the walleye social. And the year before, we actually had the classic there, so I got to fish it in I think it was early fall, and it was in September. So I got a good idea of the area there. So I got to fish it because the classic is 2 days. So I got to fish it. I fished it for 3 days since I pre-fished it. So
How'd that tournament go? I
the
think you finished.
classic,
Yeah, the classic. You finished
y-
seventh or something.
yeah, I think I picked up seventh. Day one, I did pretty good. I think I was in like fifth place after day one. I caught 80 inches. Um, and I was just fishing deep. Uh, I was kind of in the area where a lot of guys were kind of going back and forth between a rock pile and whatnot. But I was just going through the channel there, and I was catching them pretty good. Day two, I struggled a little. I couldn't find size. I was catching them, but they were all small, 14, 15 inches. But that was a really fun tournament, and I usually don't fish the rivers too much. Um, and that was like probably the first time I did pretty decent.
Did you use any of those same tactics for the no limit event, or like the same
Uh,
kind of spots?
Kinda, yeah. I was like a little bit north of that um, for the no limit. I got to practice 2 days for that tournament, and day one I was able to find fish in the area that I fished for the tournament. There was just I was following bait. There was just bait all over. I mean, I don't normally use my fish finder other than for like water temperature and depth, and I look down and it's just man, it's just covered in bait. And I was like, okay, well, there's bait there. I mean, there's got to be some fish, right? And sure enough, I think I I think I launched out of Irrigon uh, boat launch just above the hatchery, um, and I crossed over, um, and yeah, as soon as I crossed over, there was just bait everywhere, and sure enough, I think I fished it for about an hour of practice. And every time I dropped a drop shot down, I was catching fish. I threw some other stuff to see, just to keep them honest, and they were pretty much biting everything I threw at them because there was just so much bait there. It was like, okay, this is unreal. Um, and there was a guy I was practicing with. He was fishing on the other side of the river. And he was catching him too, but he wasn't catching him as fast as I was. So I was like, okay, well, this is a good starting point. And yeah, so day two, when I practiced a little bit lower, kind of in the area where I fished the classic the year before, and there was a lot of people around there, and it was a lot windier, so I didn't get a lot of practice in. But I mean, I caught some fish, just not consistently like I was doing the day before on Thursday.
You caught 374 inches. Like, how did you? You just catching fish like every cast or what? Like, that's like a day.
Yeah, just I mean, it was like I said, no joke. I would catch one, try to get it on the board as fast as I can, take a picture, and if I looked up and I saw that there was a bait ball there, and usually when there was a bait ball, there was fish underneath. You can see the big marks underneath, and I just flip my drop shot right back down, and before it even hit the bottom, um it was already, it was already taken off. So it was that, and I was really surprised at the quality of the fish I was catching, because I know there was, I mean, I caught a lot of small ones, but like the bigger ones, they were definitely there. I'd see them on my fish finder, and I just dropped down and they were right there. So I couldn't believe it myself. I was just like, oh man, this is too good to be true. If I'm catching them like this, I'm sure people are catching them like that too. Because yeah, the area that where we launched, there was 5 other guys that launched there. So I was like, okay, we're in the same area. And then I know you interviewed Dan earlier, and he was right. Yeah, he was right behind me in the morning. So I was just like, okay, he knows about this area too. So I just, like I said, I just happened to go up a little bit more and find the fish earlier than him. 'Cause, I had marks right where he was too, so I'd fish, drift down, and as soon as I get about, I don't know, about 150 200 yards from him, I'd be like, "Okay, well, he's still there, so I guess I'll go back up." I'll go back up, and I was like, "Hey, the fish are still biting." Hopefully, when I drift back down, he's not there anymore, and I look down, he's still there. I'm like, "Oh, shoot, he must have found fish."
Yeah, he had mentioned that you were like coming down. To, were you drifting down or were you locked on a spot?
Yeah, I was drifting down, yeah. It was kinda hard to stay. I mean, it wasn't not hard to stay on the spot, but, I mean, I didn't really need to stay in one spot to catch the fish. Like I said, I'd drift down and find and see more fish on the fish finder and just cast at them.
That's crazy. Was it like a ledge or grass line or anything particular? Just a bait balls.
Um, it was, I guess it was I guess it was like a small ledge. It was right where it started dropping off to, like, it was like 15 to 20 feet. So I just stayed along that line. Um Yeah, there was some grass here and there, but I mean, I think it was probably a good 20 feet away from the grass line, towards the bank. But man, they were just loaded there.
You were using drop shots, you said?
Yeah, drop shot. I'd throw a jig once in a while, catch it on that. And I threw anytime I lost the bait ball, I'd throw a jig out there or like a dark sleeper, and to try to locate where they are. Um, and as soon as I find them, I go towards, I'll catch one there, go back towards where I cast it, and then sure enough, the bait ball's there, and I'll just drop a drop shot right down on top of them again and get a couple more.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think
Like
I've
it,
yeah, I think throughout the whole tournament, I only lost one keeper, which was like insane. I mean, normally I'd be losing fish left and right, and with smallies and whatnot. But I only lost one keeper.
you still using those hooks, or you just change those up?
I changed out the hooks, yeah, just because, just when but I mean, I pretty much stayed on the whole setup the whole time. So
That's awesome. Was that like a mixed event too, like KFNW and No Limit last year?
yeah, yeah, it was.
Did
Yeah,
that
so I
change
think
your strategy at all, or
no, no, I knew. I think around 10 or 11 was when I got a text from one of my buddies, and like, and he was like, "Dude, Josh just put up a 23 incher," and I was like, "Well." Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, he's got like over 90 inches." I was like, "Dude, it's like 10, 30, 11. How?" And I was like, "Well, that's going out the door." I mean, I knew I was on quality fish, but I wasn't catching. I think the biggest fish I caught was a 18 3/4. But I wasn't catching anything bigger than that. So after about, I don't know, after about like 10 or 11, I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep catching fish at this point.
that's crazy. What did you win? Like when you won the overall for the No Limit event?
Uh, I think it was $1,000 for the winner, and I won the second hour for my 18 and 3/4. And I think they were paying out $800, not the 1,000, because we were a little bit short of 100 um, on the attendance. So I won 1,800 out of that, and then I won a Slayer Max um, native kayak uh, for winning the event. So it was a pretty nice payday.
That's awesome for sure. How did you get the kayak? Do they like have it there on the spot, or did you go
Uh,
pick
I,
it
w-
up?
I went to go pick it up at Next Adventure.
Next adventure. How long did it take? Just curious. Never.
Oh, to get the kayak?
Yeah.
Well, they wasn't there yet, but they were like, "Hey, if you want to pick it up, or we're willing to credit it if you want to go towards a different kayak." I was like, "Oh, okay." I think after like, I think the kayak didn't arrive for like a few months, but I went down there and I got something else. So
Okay.
very generous of them for that. Um, I mean, I love the native kayaks, but I'm kind of a I like the Hobies because I still like to do like salmon fishing and go offshore. So I got a Hobie Outback out of that, and that was really cool because I really love my Outback just because of the how light it was, and I really missed it when I got the PA-14, because man, loading the PA-14 after a tournament and whatnot, it's just like, oh my god, this thing is, why do I do this to myself? Uh, but so getting the Outback was really nice. So now I can go get on smaller ponds and whatnot, and not have to worry about bringing too much gear
Are you loading your kayak in the bed of your truck, or like putting it on top of the car or
on the bed of my truck. Yeah,
bed of the truck?
yeah. I car top for a little bit, but I can't do it with all the gear. I mean, I'd have to take off everything and do it. Um, it's just a little system to get it up there, but the bed is just so much easier.
Right. For sure. You do a lot of fishing. I saw like what a rock bass tournament and then a walleye social. Have
Oh
you done the
yeah.
sturgeon stuff too?
No, not yet. That's on my bucket list. Every time I plan to go down there, something comes up, and it's just like, oh, okay, next year, next year. But man, that's definitely on my bucket list. I've been meaning to go down there for a long time now.
How was that rock bass event? I saw pictures and it looked pretty fun.
Oh man, they're everywhere, dude. I mean, it's so fun because they bite everything you throw at them. Because I mean, you'll target. We were targeting smallies, of course. Just I know those other guys. They're on their online challenges and whatnot. But I mean, you they're just like, right when the smallies start coming up under the docks. That's when the rock bass are spawning, and you'll catch like three or four under a dock, and they bite just like a smallie does. But man, they put up a good fight for their size.
What are you using to catch those?
Mostly Ned rig. I mean, I'll catch them on. I'll catch them on a Kitech as well. I mean, I've had them hit a crankbait too, so um, they'll pretty much hit anything that they can try to fit in their mouth. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So next year, hopefully, we get some more people out there. We I think we got Antonio out there this year to join us, so we're hoping for a bigger turnout next year.
It's gonna be an annual thing.
Yes, yes, yeah. So I'm hoping for
Sweet.
a three-peat. I won last year and I won this year, so
Is it the same kind of process to catch photo release deal?
yeah, yeah. It's just a kind of a get together thing. It's good to come and learn Lake Washington. I know a lot of people are intimidated by Lake. It's a big lake. We mostly stay in the Bellevue and Mercer Island area there, so it's not too doesn't get too crazy. We try to have it right before it gets too warm, where all the pleasure boats and whatnot are out because it can get really rocky out there. But it's definitely a lot of fun.
Do you put that on, or is that like a group effort?
It's a group effort. Dan's the one that kind of started it because he fishes Lake Washington like a religion, man. He's there every day. I'm out at work and he'll send me pictures. I'm like, dude, he's picture, another picture. I'm like, man, I should have went out there. And he'll go out there and fish it for hours, and I don't know how he does it. I'm out there for a little bit and I'm tired, but man, he's definitely a machine. Yeah,
Are you guys
he's the one that
fishing
came
buddies?
over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny because when I first joined, he was the one that was kind of like, "Hey, I'm going out Lake Washington. You want to go?" And I was just like, "I barely know this guy. Yeah, what the hell, right?" And ever since then, I mean, yeah, he doesn't keep any secrets. He just loves to fish, man. There's a lot of guys out there, but Dan definitely, yeah. I don't like I say he fishes a lot. I don't know how he does it.
He's funny, man. I think I've met him a few times. So I think
Mhm.
it's 2019.
Yeah, I think last year I finally got him into because he was mostly in like a native slayer, just because it's small, compact, easy to launch, and got. I think after I was showing him off, I was passing him up a lot of times in my Hobie. I had an Outback back then, and yeah, he finally got into an Outback, and yeah, he loves it. It's like perfect for him, for the speed that you can get on that thing, and it's just light. It has just enough room.
The Outback. You think can you put enough stuff on there for like a weekend of fishing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you troll out of yours, out of your Hobie?
Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah. So I've done trolling for sockeye salmon, and I've done some trolling for like silver salmon and whatnot. So mostly salmon, but yeah, I go out in the salt net.
Are they pretty easy setups to get the trolling down?
Oh yeah, yeah. It seems like a lot at first. It's like anything. It's just stuff that you have to buy, of course. But once you get it down and dialed in, it's pretty chill. I don't mind. I'm more of a cast and retrieve guy, so I never really got into trolling until about 2 years ago. But there's so much. That's the thing. It's not just bass fishing. It's like there's fishing for like everything out there, and it's hard to find time. Everybody's like, "Hey, let's go out and go do this. Hey, let's go out and do this." Let's go. Oh shoot, I got to work this weekend. I don't know if I can make enough time, but my suggestion is if somebody invites you to go out and they're telling you that they're slaying them out there, you got to go out there because the few times it's like the walleye social forever. I was just kind of like, it's kind of far, it's cold. Uh, do I really want to go? And the first time I went out there, man, it was a blast.
You're wearing a dry suit and all that for that place? I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Pick up one of those. It's you only have one life. Yeah, as much safety as you can. Yeah, it's like anything. It's like a lot of anything your gear, right? Everything is pretty expensive, but they're expensive for a reason.
Right.
And there's always people out there that'll help if they have used gear and whatnot. So always buy used if you can. If you brand new, I totally get it. A dry suit is not cheap.
No, not at all. But it's
No,
totally worth it though.
and it sucks getting into and out too, man. It's not fun.
Is
It's
it like
not fun.
vacuumed on or
Yeah, yeah. I mean the gaskets around the wrist, and then oh man, Look, I got the ones that has the zipper, so I can if I need to go, I can go. But man, it's just getting in and out of that thing. It's like, oh, do I really want to get into this? But it definitely keeps you dry.
Does it keep you warm? Like, do you have to layer under it, or like you
Yeah,
just get
yeah,
warm sweats and stuff?
yeah. I'll wear a couple layers under, and it definitely keeps you warm.
What is the walleye social? It's like a tournament, or is fun fishing, or
It's fun fishing, yeah, yeah. So usually, yeah, Jim Davis is the one that puts that on, and man, he puts usually gets 50 plus kayakers out there, and it's just a lot of guys going out there and fishing. It's a lot of fun. You'll accidentally hook into a sturgeon now and then. I got a nice video of a buddy of mine that hooked one last year, and he was fine. He almost got it to the boat. I think he ended up getting it to the boat. But man, hooking a sturgeon on a medium spinning rod is it's gonna take you for. I've hooked a few and they didn't come up, so just took my
dang,
lure. But that was definitely an experience.
that's wild, dude. How do you target a walleye?
Mostly vertical jigging. So you're gonna basically go upriver and then kind of just let the current take you, and you're drifting down. And then you're just jigging either a blade bait or I think a lot of people like to use the Max Sonic blades, basically like a vibrating jig.
Crazy. Do you have to go deep for them?
Yeah, I usually fish pretty deep. I mean, we were finding them, I don't know, close 70 to like 90 feet down.
Deep, deep.
Yeah, they're pretty deep. So it takes a while to get your lure down there. It's definitely a technique, but man, once you got it down, man, you're catching a lot of like I know like Jed, he goes out there. We call him man. He just if he's not catching fish, you know there's something wrong. That guy, if you got one, he's probably got like 10. So yeah, so we follow him. He does it all without a fish finder. So
Really?
yeah, it's definitely that he's definitely got it dialed in.
That's wild. I haven't caught a walleye yet. It's on the list for sure. I want to go to those events. It's just so cold. I don't like to fish the cold.
Yeah, yeah, it is really cold. I mean, just luckily Jim he puts us up in his trailer in his garage, so we can sleep well. But man, I sleeping in that cold in the truck, man, it's
It's
not fun.
terrible, man.
Yeah, in the mornings, yeah, everybody's just like, because it's cold. Just trying to warm up, but I mean, once everybody gets on the water and starts finding the fish, man, we're like little kids. It's so much fun. It's so much. It's like I said. It's just me experience. Anybody that could wants to have a good time and whatnot, they should definitely come out to that.
What time of the year is that one? I know it's cold, but
It's usually November.
November.
Um, I forget what time of the year we had it last year, but it's usually November.
Do you get to keep them, or do you have to throw them back?
Oh, we keep them. Yeah, they're great. They're
Oh,
good eating. Oh yeah, beer battered. Yeah,
oh man, that sounds
totally worth the drive. Yeah, totally worth it. If you can stay out there for more than one day, at least a couple days, you'll definitely get your share.
how many did you
I'm-
catch?
Uh, I think out of the 2 days, I caught maybe 25 combined for the 2 days. There's guys out there that will do really good and take home like 40, 50 of them, which I'm jealous of because, yeah, man, after, beer battering, deep frying them, man, they'll run out real quick.
Right. That's awesome, though. I'm going next year. I got should. Can you paddle it, you think, or should you get a pedal kayak?
You can paddle, but I probably pedal would be like if you want to come out, dude. I got a outback. I got extra kayak, so
Damn,
definitely
where's
put
it
you
at?
on. You it's in Umatilla.
Oh, it's not far at all. Yeah, I'm
You
down
know,
for that.
yeah. If you want to come out, I got an extra Hobie outback. Get on it and get on the fish because
For
it's
sure.
definitely a lot of fun.
How many poles you bring for that? Just like one good setup?
I usually bring two, just so if I lose a lure for some reason, I don't have to retie in that cold. Trying to tie anything in that cold with your hands, it's good luck
Right.
with that. So the less you can do tying, the better. But you usually don't lose too much gear. Only when you hook a sturgeon.
You ever been bit by one of those? Walleye?
Uh, Bit by walleye?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, Yeah. Yeah, I'm always coming home with cuts and whatnot on my fingers. Yeah, you usually don't feel it until you start washing your hands.
That's funny. So for this year, No Limit and KFW event, I guess now with the postponement, are you gonna practice any different or just kind of?
Uh, yeah, I'm gonna get no practice. So because I mean, even if I was to go up Friday, Saturday, that I don't know about those wins. I think they said no practice on Saturdays,
Yeah, no practice
right?
Saturday.
Yeah. So I was thinking of still going up Friday, but I mean, if I go up there and there's too much wind, I'm probably not gonna even attempt to go out there. So I'm just gonna wing it this year, and hopefully whatever launch I pick, I find fish. I'm confident I'll catch them, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch them like it was last year. This is totally different part of the river. Well, not totally different, but it's a little higher up. I've only fished this part of the river twice. One way back in I want to say 2020 or 2019. Um, Still early in my career. I think first time I fished it was like late summer into early fall, and I caught nothing but like 10 inchers. Uh,
I
but
think we
and then
fished it in 2019.
yeah, yeah. So and then yeah, that wasn't a very big turnout for that one. But I fished that, and that one was tough for me because that was my first time like on the Columbia, and I'm a bank beater, so um, that time of year there was nothing but grass. And I was in my Feel Free Lure 11.5, so I had a pedal drive. I mean, I had one of those propeller ones. So, being in the
Oh
shallow and
man,
getting nothing but grass in that propeller, it was just like, dude, this is not working. And so I struggled. And then yeah, 2020, when was it that we had the three states up there last time? Was that
22.
22? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 22.
Yeah, so that was the second time I fished it, and yeah, that one was really. I think there was some parts of the river that was kind of like blown out, or at least the rivers that were feeding into the Columbia. Because I launched out of Wallula, the river there, and it was blown out. So like most of that area was like just dirty water, and I didn't realize that I needed to find clean water to find fish. Because as soon as we crossed over to the other side of the river, water was clean, and I caught my first fish. It was a good, nice 18 incher right away on a crankbait. Um, that's the thing with me. I love throwing a crankbait, and if I catch one off a crankbait, I'm just going to throw that for the rest of the day. And that was my mistake of throwing that for the rest of the day. And I only caught one other fish for that tournament, so I should have probably slowed down and fished deep. Back then, I was like I said, I was a shallow fisherman, so I didn't fish as deep as I do now. Because if I'm not finding fish shallow, then I'm going to go deep, and I'll use my electronics to find structure and whatnot, and usually find fish. I'll just find bait or whatnot, or find some rocks. Um, so yeah, for this year, I don't know. It will depend on which launch I pick, and hopefully there's fish around the area.
Sure. You have a crankbait setup, like a rod that you use?
Yeah, I use like a medium St. Croix. Um, I think it's a Mojo Yak Mojo. I think it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a 6 to 12 medium. Yeah, I really like that medium for a crankbait. That's for my like more medium diving crankbaits. If I have a deep diver setup, which I run. I think it's a Daiwa. It's a glass rod. Um, and that one seems to work pretty good for that. But I'll bring both. We'll see if they're going to be deep or shallow.
It's gonna be interesting. This cold front's coming in with this wind too. It's gonna drop like it was 90 today. It's gonna drop to like 75 by Saturday.
Oof, yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah, that's good.
interesting for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And with smallies, man, they're. I guess I think was it last year we had that tournament up in Moses Lake, and it was kind of like that where pre-fish was like really good, and then come tournament day, um, it was just like nobody was catching anything but small ones. So you
Moses
were
Lake is
lucky.
tough, I think.
Yeah. I've done pretty well there. There's an area that I like to go to where I'll catch them on a crankbait, so I've done pretty well there.
that like your go-to bait?
Yeah, yeah. Anything for smallies, I'll if I can catch them off a crankbait, I'll throw a crankbait. Like, it wasn't until 2 years ago when I started using the drop shot, and but I usually will catch them only if I see like a bait ball or whatnot. If I need to throw a drop shot, I'm probably throwing something else.
Right. Oh, I saw you got the front-facing sonar. What do you think about how's that working out? Are you liking it
Ooh,
so far?
yeah, it's definitely interesting. It puts, I mean, the extra like stuff that I mean, just the transducer and the was it the GL10, the 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 board itself, man, that thing's heavy. So like, oh, it's nice, but now I'm a big fan of like not putting more stuff on my kayak, just because of the weight. That thing, because I had to get some bigger batteries as well. So now my kayak is a good, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds more or something like that. This is it's heavy, but it's definitely, I can see where all the hype is. It's really fun to watch because I was actually catching them on like a mid strolling with a scented jerk shad um last weekend with Dan, and because we were on Lake Washington, and that was first time taking it out there, and I can definitely see the fish. Once I was able to finally locate my lure and distinguish that between everything else, it was really fun to watch. I can see how it's so addicting.
You see any advantages to it or
Uh,
disadvantages?
no, I mean I definitely see both ways. I mean the disadvantage would be like if you spend too much time on it, because that's the thing too, right? If the fish aren't biting, then they're not biting. But if they're definitely reacting to something you put them in, if you put in the time, I can definitely see somebody utilizing it a lot more. To me, it's another tool to catch fish. You just have to figure it out, and I think it's pretty cool. I know there's been a lot of drama around it and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you still have to put fish in the boat, right? So
Right.
if it helps me catch fish, then I'm happy. If it doesn't, then whatever. It's extra weight on my kayak at this point.
It's true. Can you at least see structure with it?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's technology for anything nowadays. It's definitely changing our sport because when I first joined, like I said, I was in a paddle kayak, and people started having pedal kayaks, and I was like, oh, as soon as I got into a pedal kayak, everybody started getting motors, and I was like, man, I'm starting to fall behind. I don't think I'm ready for a motor yet. Like I said, just because of the weight. If I get a motor, I'm definitely gonna have to get like a trailer or something, but not ready for it yet. My legs are still kicking, so I'll go as long as I can. But man, at the end of the day, though, it's definitely nice watching those guys just kind of motor in, and you're just like, oh man, I'm tired, dude. I had to pedal like 2 miles just to get in, and you're just sitting there.
Cruising.
Yeah. So, but it's really cool though that how much the sport has grown since I started. Like I said, when we started back then, it was 10, maybe 15 people at a tournament. And now we're hitting like 30, 40s. And I mean, I would love to see the numbers go up, like in California or those guys over there on the East Coast, man. Get those type of numbers. That'd be really cool.
For sure. It's probably more difficult because we have all that salmon and steelhead, and like people only have so much time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I know it's hard because, like I said, I go fish with the guys that go salmon fishing too, and they're like, "Oh man, it's salmon season right now. I gotta go." The bite is hot up at Baker Lake. I'm like, "Well, man, what about the tournament this weekend? Oh, I don't know yet." So, and everywhere you gotta go, it's far, man. You're driving like 2 hours plus, and it's definitely taxing on the body. I did it for my first, like I said, my when I started tournament fishing, man, it was going. I live over here on the west side, so now I'm in Kirkland. So when I have to go to like you know my favorite places, which is like potholes or Moses Lake or Banks Lake, that's like 2-3 hour drive. That's one way, you know. So it's like get up early in the morning, get there at light, fish most of the day, drive back, and it's like, okay, that was like my whole day. It would be totally worth it if I was catching fish, and there'll be days when I go up there and I don't catch one fish, and I'm like, dude, I just gassed up like
Right.
3 times, drove 6 hours just to catch one fish. But it's definitely the experience.
For sure. Are you still camping out of your truck, or are you staying at, like, hotels now?
I do both
Both?
whenever. Yeah, whenever it's like a more than a one. If I can't get like a campground or something, and if the conditions just are it's too warm, too rainy or whatnot, I'll bunk up with somebody that's getting a place. It's definitely nicer to sleep in a bed, that's for sure.
Right.
But I mean, it's just kind of a place to kind of stay because I know for sure I'm not sleeping that night because I mean, when it comes to fishing, I'm already thinking, oh, okay, where am I going to go in the morning? And next thing you know, it's like 3 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I know I'm not fishing now, so I might as well just stay up. And then it's like, okay, hurry up, come on, I need to just get going. And then usually I'll be the first guy to like. If we're in like a campground, I'll be the first guy to start up my truck and wake up everybody.
It's off. Do you have a good setup, like a mattress back in the back, or you
No,
sleep in the cab?
I just sleep in the cab, yeah, as quick as I can, because as soon as I get up, I'm already wanna just start the car and go.
Are you, like, staying in parking lots? Do they ever kick you out or anything?
No, I'm usually I'll be in a campground, but, I mean, I'll
Oh,
get, like, a spot, but I'll still sleep in my truck just because I'm too lazy to, like, pitch a tent. Unless I'm there for, like, a few days, then I'll pitch a tent, but if not, I'll just sleep in my truck ready to go.
seems to be the way to do it. Save some money, some gas, and gotta drive back and forth.
Yeah.
Time. So we got the meeting on Friday. Captain's meeting is still Friday at 6, I think, 6:30?
Yeah, 6 o'clock. Yeah,
O'clock.
I'm gonna miss that. I had some time. I had some time off that I was gonna take on Friday to get down there for that, but now that they moved it to Sunday, and with no pre-fishing, I'm probably just gonna head down Saturday afternoon and be down there. Be down at. I'm gonna be staying at Jim's place, so probably hopefully get down there early enough to mingle with everybody because man, it's just not enough time in the day.
Right.
Trying to greet every or I mean trying to meet everybody again because yeah really sucks that um some of these tournaments we get so caught up in prepping and whatnot that you don't have a lot of time to like talk to everybody. I mean, I talk to a bunch of people on like social media and whatnot, but I get there and we're so competitive and whatnot, and so thinking about fishing there, I forget to talk to everybody.
Well, yeah, you've definitely seen it grow, huh? So it's like the
Mhm.
beginning of time.
Oh
And it
yeah.
seems like more people are more consistent now too. Like they're gonna be back next year and the year after that. Like
Mhm.
you can count on these people.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fun watching the old and the newer guys come in and help this sport grow. It's great. Um, all those guys are all great anglers. Anybody of those guys can win. That's the fun part about it.
And they are. Like there's like new
Yeah.
one. Have you seen the online challenges or done any of them this year?
This year, no, I took a step back from it this year. Usually, like when I first started, yeah, I was heavy into the online challenges, just because it was so diverse. I mean, pawn challenge. Uh, you got bronze back. You got bucket mouth challenges. You had team challenges. It was super diverse. So it was really cool because you couldn't really fish like one lake. You had to go to different lakes, and that was the really fun part of it. I really miss it this year. I started a new job this year, so I don't have a lot of time to fish like I normally would. So I'm even working through the weekends. Hopefully next year that changes. Right now it's just kind of hectic. So I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna not fish too much this year. Just kind of concentrate on the season, the live tournaments that I can go to, and make sure I can get to those ones at least. But yeah, the online challenges, my God, dude, these guys, man, they are putting up some massive numbers. I mean, not last year, the year before, I thought I had a pretty good year, but man, these guys are smashing them.
It's crazy to see. It's like every month too. Everyone's over 100 inches now. The winter
Oh,
anyway is over 100.
hmm
Going
yeah,
up 7.
that century mark is not. It's not. It's a norm now. And if you don't get nowhere near it, then I mean, you're not winning. But it's great to see the guys that are putting in the time and all were I mean, these are all from, like, every part of, like, Washington, even, like, the Idaho and Oregon ones, and these are lakes that are these are not just, like, one lake, these are lakes that are everywhere in the state, so it's great to see those numbers. It's definitely great for the sport.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's part of the growing too. Is people are getting more experience and the fish are getting bigger as
Mhm,
well. It's the numbers are just wild, man.
mhm.
And like 50 inches back in the day was guaranteed like a top 5. Now, like you won't even
Right? Yeah,
top 10 maybe.
if you're not catching any citation fish, then, you're definitely not gonna be in the top 5, but, like I said, it's a great confidence booster. That's like I said, that's how I started when I first started tournament fishing, was fishing these online challenges, and, it just definitely challenges you to get out there. I mean, if you're not gonna go out there and fish, you're not gonna catch these fish, so it definitely pushes you to go out there, and you have a month long to do it. It's not like, you have a lot of time to, sort out your gear, um, get good at taking photos. You're always going to have mistakes here and there, but it's not as competitive. Well, I wouldn't say not as competitive, but it's not as like determined. You don't have to like be all in one day. So it definitely, brushes up your skill and whatnot. And it definitely helped me for the live tournaments because on my first few live tournaments, man, I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to go out there and catch fish, and these guys out there, you can't just go out there and just start catching fish. You got to get some type of practice in to know the lake and whatnot. Um, so it definitely was an eye opener for me. But the online challenges definitely helped that though, because it forced me to go fish lakes that I've never fished, and learn between the two species. I was mostly fishing largemouth in the beginning, but then when I started getting to smallmouth fishing, man, it was really fun.
Do you have good smallmouth water on the west side by you? I guess there's lots.
Uh, there's some pretty good ones. I mean, Lake Washington's usually really good if you time it correctly. Said it's very intimidating because it's so big, but there are definitely good quality there. And Whatcom, I don't fish enough. I only started fishing it last year. I was a little intimidated by the AIS like checks that they did, so I was like, I don't know if I want to, clean my kayak all the time and go up there. But after talking with a few guys, but they were like, "Oh yeah, it's nothing, dude." And I went up there before the tournament last year, a week before the tournament to pre-fish, and man, they were super chill. I just got in and out, and that was it. So, but yeah, that lake can be. I can see why a lot of people go there because it gets a lot of pressure, but man, there's a lot of good fish there.
It's a huge lake. It's really
Yeah,
big.
super clear. I mean, it's you can look 10, 20 feet down. And I was like, I usually don't fish lakes that clear.
I've never seen that far down. That'd be a
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah.
What were they checking for, like, at the AIS?
It's just mostly for moisture in your kayak. If you fish like somewhere where there's like invasive species or whatnot, they just because I guess that water there's like their drinking water. So
Oh,
they don't want any invasive species or whatnot getting into that lake.
that makes sense.
Yeah, they take really good care of it.
That makes sense for sure. What's after the KF&W? Is that Soyuz? Soyuz?
Yeah, yeah, Soyuz, yeah,
Have you
that one's
fished
gonna.
that one before?
Yeah, I fished that one not last year, but the year before. We had a tournament up there. I managed to get second place on there. I
Dang.
really, I really thought I was gonna win that tournament, and freaking Dan Walker just pulled a like the last hour he pulled fish. He even sent me the photo too, and I was like, "Oh man, you serious?" So I was having a really good tournament. I was definitely on the fish. I had pre-fished it a day before that, and I found a really good pattern. And but yeah, there are some really oh man, that's probably my favorite smallmouth fishery in Washington. If I had to pick one, just because of the way they fight. My goodness, you'll hook like a 17, 18 incher, but man, they fight like no other.
That's what I heard. That's the rumor, man. For
Yeah,
sure.
there are some big fish in there. I got to fish it after the tournament as well, and I we were catching them just like the day before. So definitely, I went back. We were supposed to have a tournament there last year, but it got canceled because of a fire. So they changed that tournament to Moses Lake instead. So I was really bummed about that, but pretty excited about it going back up there this year.
Cool. Are you gonna fish in the other states, like Oregon or Idaho, or
Probably not. Yeah, if I could, I would, but this year is just not my year to do a lot of traveling. So I'm going to be just kind of cherry picking the ones here in Washington. I would really love to go to that Coeur d'Alene one. I hear a lot of people talking about that, and a lot of the guys here are probably going to make the trip out there. But I probably won't make it out there.
Coeur d'Alene is gonna be nice. That's gonna be a nice
Yeah.
lake for sure.
Mm. Yeah, I saw the bags that Garrett was messaging me, and he's just like, "Dude, you got to come out here." And I was like, "I'll try, but we'll see." Yeah, this new job here is just taking a toll.
Are
But
you enjoying it though? The job?
oh yeah, yeah, it's
Good.
definitely it's a job, but some nice people there, so it's tolerable as long as I'm not getting you know haggled about stuff. And oh man, I hate my job, and it's it pays the bills.
For sure. Are you going for the AOI this year? You're in the race.
Uh, I'm gonna try. We'll
Is that
see. I mean,
like a goal?
I blank. Well, yeah, two of my biggest goals is to actually win a WKBF live tournament, and to get AOI. Think those are two of my biggest goals right now. I've managed to squeak a couple wins, but not in the WKBF side. Um, that native win last year was a surprise to me. I really didn't think I was gonna. I thought maybe, oh yeah, I got 300. Somebody's got to be up there too. But and then when I started hearing the numbers, I was like, oh, I think I won. And then Dan's like, oh yeah, last time I checked, I was like 80 inches behind you. And before the standings went off or something like that. And I was like, oh, I caught a lot more than that. I hadn't submitted everything yet. But yeah, that was insane. But I would love to win AOI or even to win just one of the live tournaments. I've come close a couple times, but it's definitely one of those ones I would love to win because yeah, there's definitely a lot of good fishermen in the Washington here, and a lot of them are very consistent. So it's you got to go out there and can't make any mistakes against these guys because man, they're gonna you can check the leaderboard. I normally don't check the leaderboards during the tournaments, because I have a superstitious thing is when I check it, that's when I'm gonna start to panic. But and I normally don't, but I'll usually get a message from somebody and being like, "Hey, you're on the runnings. What are are you catching them?" I'm like, "Oh, shoot, you shouldn't have told me that because now I'm not gonna catch them." But yeah, I've definitely come close a few times, but just not, just haven't gotten there yet. But you know,
It'll
one
happen.
of these days.
It'll happen. You're up there for sure. You're consistent. It'll happen.
Hmm.
We got 8 wins. You've won 8 tournaments and 40 top tens, man. Yeah, you've been smashing them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it. Yeah, I mean, you just have to go up there and keep. I always a lot of guys like to say fish smarter, not harder. I'm the opposite, man. I'll fish harder, not smarter. I'll keep casting until that timer ends. So, but yeah, a lot of times it's you have to keep. fishing until the end. You never know when you're going to get that big bite, and it's just a lot of fun just to be out there. I like I said, I love the community, the kayak community. I mean, everybody is so nice. Everybody was a little uptight at first. I know when I first joined, people were just kind of like super secretive about their spots and whatnot. But I totally get that. You don't want to, give out spots and like, especially on social media, because that can blow up real quick. But when you meet these guys like in person and start talking with them, and we're all like little kids again, dude. We just there's no secret. Everybody's just, oh yeah, I caught him off this. Now you might be able to keep a secret for a little bit, but if you keep talking, man, everything comes out. I'll start spilling my beans. I'll try not to like give away some of my spots or whatnot, but if you keep me talking, man, I'll give away everything. I'll give away my social security number.
That's funny. No way. I think that's all the questions that I've got.
Sweet.
You have anything else
Yeah.
to add?
Uh, I just want to give a shout out to like our directors because man, they are, they're doing every year it keeps getting better and they're doing a heck of a job. Marvin, Jim, Patrick, Josh, and them, those guys, man, that's a lot of work. And I totally get it when when they have these events too, and not everything is going to go right, but they make the best decision for everybody, and hats off to them for that.
For sure.
Because yeah, a lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
That's real. And that decision they had to make this week is kind of hard too. I'm sure. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I know it's like a kind of a I know we're trying to get, known nationwide, and that's one of those events where, last year we were pretty close to not getting them back this year, and man, it's just, sometimes mother nature doesn't want to play, but do what we can with what we have. So, I'm glad that they're still going to have it. And hopefully, we get a pretty good showing.
for sure. Yeah, it is a fun one to have.
Yeah.
You're good at them. I'd see why you wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
How did it feel like after that tournament? 374 inches, like shoulders, wrists. You're good to go the next morning, or
Oh, yeah, I was good to go. I mean, I was like I said, I was just catching them, and I wasn't really thinking. All I can think about was get it on the board, get a picture, get right back down there. And it's funny because uh, the for me the bite died around like I think 11:30 and noon. That's when it like really slowed down, and I think I was only able to pick up two more fish from there, but yeah, it was just kind of like I knew I knew they were feeding, and I just had to get a bait in front of them. But yeah, as far as catch, I mean, it felt unreal. Like I said, there's so much fish that I didn't even think anything of it until I looked at it. I was like, because I submitted, I think I lost count after about 15 fish. So I was just kind of like, okay, I don't even know where I'm at anymore. I know I'm over 200. I know I'm close to 300. I didn't think I was. It wasn't until actually I think Josh messaged me, Josh Duggar. He messaged me at around 12:30 or something like that, and he was like, "Dude, 400." I was like, "400?" I was like, "Am I that close?" Like I really wasn't looking. Like I said, after 15, I just lost track of everything. I just was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna keep fishing, whatever." But yeah, when he said that, I was like, "Dude, I'm pretty close." And then I actually went and looked at the leaderboard, or I mean, it was turned off at the time, but I looked at my total, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm at." I think it was like 340 ish or something like that. I was like, "Huh, shoot, I only need to catch like 4 or 5 more fish, and maybe I can get it." And I was trying. That's the thing, though. Once I started trying really hard to catch him, I wasn't catching him as fast. I was catching a lot of small ones. So
that's impressive. 374 inches. You don't even know how many fish that is.
I think it was like 22 or something like that.
Jeez,
Something like that. Yeah.
that's a
So
crazy day on like a normal day. It's even crazier on like a tournament no limit day.
right. Yeah. I mean, that's the potential out there in some of these places. There's been times where I've hit potholes or like Banks Lake, and I was catching that many fish. It's just insane when when the bite's there, you're just in the moment.
For sure. That's crazy though. I had one more question. I forgot what it was.
No worries.
I
Yeah, take your time.
don't know. Yeah, I don't really remember at all. Oh, the West Coast Championships. If you qualify for those, are you gonna go down to California?
Not this year, no.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, no. Um, little. I don't think I can get the time off to go to it. So yeah, it's kind of. I mean, it's what a 12, 13 hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to take at least a week, maybe half a week off to go down there. Um, Probably not planning this year. One of these years, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get down there. Um, Hopefully, they still have it at Clear Lake because that's a bucket list for me. I've seen a lot of videos and whatnot and reports from there, and man, I'd love to catch one of those.
I haven't been there either. That's on my list too. Clear Lake
Mm.
and New Malone's, I think too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those California lakes, man. They like I said, they a lot of the YouTube guys down there, man. They put on a nice show. Definitely. So yeah, it makes you like you know just when I'm like I step away for a little bit and be like, okay, I'm gonna concentrate on work, and then new video comes out, and I'm like, oh man, shoot, now I gotta throw that one back on my list because I want to go down there. And yeah, it's pretty cool that a lot of the guys that can go from here will go down there. You know,
For
so
sure.
I'll live my dreams through their eyes for a while.
They're putting it on YouTube. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All these guys that do video YouTubes and whatnot, man. Hats off to them because I've tried. It's it's tough getting good footage, and for me, when I get out, I try to fish as much as I can. So trying to keep the camera rolling and whatnot, it's a tough time for me. The battery will run out, or I'll have it like it'll follow a certain angle, and I'm not paying attention, and I just get bad footage throughout the whole time. But I'm hoping to definitely get more footage and start making some videos and whatnot. But it's definitely a process, and for me, editing videos just a lot of time consuming for me. I'm terrible at it.
Me too. It's,
Yeah.
do you have a YouTube channel yet, or just
No,
gonna
no,
look at it?
not yet. I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna try to start one. We'll see, but it's gonna depend on um how good I get at editing videos. I know people say you get easier in time, but again, for me, it's just getting the time to do the editing because I have footage from like old stuff that I've done, but normally I'll just like clip out the good parts, and then I'll just kind of give people a sneak peek. But I'm hoping to do like a little more YouTubing. That would be kind because it's kind of a video journal, so to keep memories of and whatnot. Because it's be like, oh yeah, there's that one time that I went there. And for me, I like to keep a lot of information because what time of the year that I go, when I went to that lake when it was like really good, I can always fall back on something like that because um, I've learned that I mean, getting older, man, you forget a lot of things. It's like, oh yeah, I was there what 2, 3 years ago. I don't even remember now what kind of conditions were it that year. Um, for me, I like to know a lot of the conditions before I go out, just to maximize my time on the lake. Um, so that way I don't waste a lot of time just trying to figure out the bite. Because there have been times where I'll go out there and halfway through the day I'll finally figure it out and be like, I just wasted like the whole morning just throwing the wrong thing and being in the wrong area and wasting half my day.
For sure. Are you strictly kayak fishing? Like you don't get on a boat at all, or
Yeah, just mostly kayak fishing. For me, I like to get out. I like to get in and get out of the water. Um, so I mean, if somebody will find me on a boat, heck, I go on a boat.
right?
But I don't own a boat, so
Yeah, I think that's all I have.
cool.
I think. Yeah. KFW events. An event. It's gonna be a long season. I think we're 2 events down almost now. The second one this
Y-
weekend.
Yeah, I think things are gonna start picking up after this event because that's when guys are going to start looking at their AOI points and start qualifying for things. So it's going to be an exciting year. I think it's going to be a really fun year because the way a lot of the stuff kicked off this year. I know I haven't been much in the scene, but I've definitely been watching. And man, there's some newer guys out there that are coming up, and then there's the guys that are always consistent, like Dan and Brandon and them. Watching those guys, it's just the yeah, this is gonna be a fun. I think this is gonna be a fun tournament. It's gonna be a fun year.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. I want to see how it goes down. There's so many
Mhm.
good anglers on all three states.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see them all on the same day.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's gonna
If
be,
you had to pick, who do you think? Which state do you think is gonna take it?
oh man, I think Washington will take it.
Mm.
I do, only because like a few of the stakes are in Tri Cities area,
Yeah. Yeah.
like already fishing.
Mm. Yeah. I know
Maybe some
some guys are gonna
Idaho.
be out there. Yeah, some guys are gonna be out there pretty early for pre-fish. So, um, yeah, it's gonna in the river. Man, you just have to find the fish.
It's kind of anybody can win it. I think as long I mean it's gonna be crazy because you got the no limit thing. I think it's whoever's strategy works the best. Really,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think
you're
what
gonna
2 years ago was mostly largemouth that won the tournament, right? So this year, I mean, definitely, if you're on largemouth, you might win the state side of it. But for the no limit, I think smallies will probably be a big key on that one.
how
I'm
many do you think
hoping.
it'll take to win that one?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm hoping like 300. I'm
300.
thinking 300. I'm saying a bigger number because I'm hoping bigger than 300. Almost. I hope somebody breaks that 370. you know, just because I want the numbers to be high up there. So it's going to be like, hey, look, we have the fishery. Man, and I want somebody to experience that too. Cause I mean, for me, I was like, it was kind of unreal because I was just kind of in my own area and I was just kind of doing everything. It's fun, but then it's like, if you don't have anybody else to share it with, it's just kind of like, okay, well, this is great, but nobody's, what if I wanted a picture or something? Nobody's gonna be there to take the picture. So I want other guys to experience that because I know they're definitely capable of doing it. And that river definitely is capable of doing and pushing out those type of numbers. So I would love for it to like, get as high as possible. So we can put it on the map. Put that Columbia River on the map and have some more events on it.
For sure. It is a good fishery, the Columbia.
Mhm.
In any of the sections, you can catch giants like any day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Josh did it last year. I mean, he put up a 23-inch smaller. I mean,
Yeah.
that's unreal. I had to like, are you serious? Did you really look? And because I asked my buddy, he's like, yeah, it's 23 inches. I was like, no way. Okay, I gotta look myself. I was like, holy moly, dude. I was like, how is that
Giant.
even? Yeah, that's insane. And I mean, he put up 90 inches like in the first hour, which is
Jeez.
that's who does that? That's yeah. If I had a day like that, I would have been like sitting back and just enjoying the rest of the day. But man, that's crazy.
Taking a nap, dude.
Hmm.
374. Yeah. Oh, man. It'd be cool to see all top five get above 300.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I want to see big numbers. I know the fishing conditions. I mean, what are we probably going to be dealing with? What spawn? Maybe post spawn. I'm not sure. I'm like I said. I'm not with weather conditions now. I mean, it starts to get hot and then it goes right back, and then we get a cold front that rolls in. So I'm not going to say I'm the most intelligent guy to predict what the fish is doing. So practice would help, but like I said, I'm not going to have practice this time around. So I'm just hoping to figure it out as soon as I can, so I can get on them.
That's going to be interesting for sure. There's probably a couple people in that same situation, maybe.
Hmm.
Just swinging at it on a cold front after
Yeah,
a storm, man.
yeah. Like I said, I really hope the winds aren't as bad on Wednesday, on Sunday, and guys get out there and hammer them because I gotta say it's going to be a fun event regardless. So
Sure. Be worth going to.
yep.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's all questions.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me on, man. And thank you for doing what you're doing. You're giving guys an opportunity to tell their fishing stories and whatnot. Uh,
For
so
sure.
yeah, this will definitely help get more people out there.
That's the plan, man. To grow
Yep.
the sport. Give you
Yeah,
guys a somewhere to talk and grow.
yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Anytime you want to bring more guys back on. I mean, I watched a lot of yours, so it's great listening to the guys and what they bring to the table. So their experience out there. And
Everybody's been real cool so far too.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of the that's the cool thing about that kayak community. Like most of the guys are out there, and they're exactly how you see them. They're like I said, like everybody gets so excited when these tournaments happen, and every time everything gets a little bit bigger, it's just like something new, and it's like, oh man, let's go, let's get more people involved.
For sure, man. And it's not easy. It's not hard to get signed up either, like or to find or
Yeah, yeah.
to get into it.
hmm Yeah, so if anybody listening out there, if you want to jump on, I mean, hey, a lot of the guys are willing to go out. If there's guys hey, inviting you to go out and fish, I would suggest to go fish because that's how you're going to get out there and learn. That's how you're going to meet these people, and it's just a stepping stone into getting in these tournaments. They're like I said, they're a lot of fun.
For sure, man. Yeah, let's definitely see how it grows in the future.
Hmm.
Thanks for coming on, though. I appreciate that,
Oh, thank you.
and we'll do it again for sure.
Yeah.